Welcome to the Same Side Selling Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Altman. There are three repeated horrible mistakes that I see people making when it comes to cold outreach. And so I want to spend some time going through those three and give you some insight in different things that you may want to do that could drive better results for you and your business, because it doesn't have to be this bad. So the first one is cold outreach that starts almost like an apology. So it's when you get an email or a LinkedIn thing that says, hey, I've got a quick question, or could we schedule a call next Tuesday at 10 a.m., tomorrow at 9 a.m., or I'm going to be in your area next Thursday. It's all of these fabricated, silly things like, hey, got a quick question for you, or hey, do you have capacity for additional consulting? And their thought is you're going to respond and say, yeah, I do. Well, actually, I want to sell you my services to help you get more consulting. And each of these is kind of a disingenuous approach for earning somebody's attention. You're not creating anything of value. You're not piquing someone's interest with something that you do. Instead, it's almost like a model of deceit. Where this gets worse is then someone sends you this awful outreach, and then you don't reply, and they say, hey, I haven't heard back. I wanted to bump this up to the top of your inbox. Like, oh yeah, it was really compelling, but somehow then I overlooked it. So I'm so glad that you've now raised it again. And all this does is it damages your reputation. The second mistake that people make is they reach out and say, hey, I'm reaching out to you about this, but if you're not the decision maker in this area, then maybe you can point me in the direction of someone who is. As if that person is now going to subject one of their peers to your poor outreach. Like, yeah, I don't have anything of value for you, but can you give me someone else's time who I might be able to waste? It's a bad approach. Plus, when you're saying to somebody who's the decision maker, you're now focused in this world of axis displacement. It's an axis displacement disorder you're facing because you now believe somehow the world revolves around you rather than the world revolving around your customer. So when you say who's the decision maker, it's basically centered around you making a sale instead of who's the person most directly impacted by this. We want to help determine whether or not we can help. We've helped other people address these three common issues for those people. And now you're actually reaching out with something of value rather than just peddling. The third one is there's a goal that people have of, I'll often ask them, look, if you're now reaching out to somebody and it's an initial outreach, what's your goal? What's your objective? And what they'll say to me is, well, my goal is to get an initial meeting. My goal is to schedule a demo. My goal is for us to present stuff to them so they can fall in love with us and want to buy our stuff. It's a mistake. Instead, what you want to think about is, in that initial cold outreach, you're trying to determine if there's a fit. Are they facing a challenge that you're good at solving? Do they face similar challenges of other people for whom you've delivered success? Now, what people often do is they reach out and say, well, what keeps you up at night? What's the biggest thing on your plate? Now, if someone calls me with that, I'm thinking, well, A, do your research, and B, it's not my job to tell you what I'm focused on. And if I don't know you, why would I share that anyhow? Also, your clients, the people you can help the most, the biggest problem you solve for them is probably something they have a blind spot about and aren't even aware of. So instead, what you want to do is you want to entice their interest by sharing problems that you solve for other people like them with extraordinary results. Now, the only way you can do that is by disarming, meaning if their perception is that your only interest is to try to sell them something, then you can't have an honest conversation, because you walk into a store, the hyper-ambitious salesperson says, may I help you? Your brain says, oh, salesperson, can't trust them. They shut you down. No thanks, just looking. But if you reached out to someone and said, look, only about half the people we talk to are a fit for the things that we deliver with great success. Would it be okay if I ran those three key areas by you? If one of those strikes a chord, we might have something worth talking about. If not, within 30 seconds, you and I will be done. How open would you be to me sharing what those three things are? You can tell me if it's worth a further discussion. What I've just done is I've disarmed the notion that I'm just there to sell something and set it up by saying that not everyone's a fit for us, and there are only 3 reasons you might want to talk to us. Now I get to share it's people who are facing this challenge, or that challenge. And for the right ones, they tell us we deliver amazing results, but not everyone we talk to is the right fit for that. So I don't yet know that I can help you. That's something in same side selling we refer to as the same side pitch. It's in chapter 4 of the book. And it's this whole notion of how do we disarm? And people who have implemented this have achieved remarkable success. I'm talking about companies who had deals that were lingering for years that turned into multi-million-dollar deals within 30 days by changing their approach from the old school notion of, hey, I got a quick question, or who makes the decision, or scheduling a demo, to focusing on the problems you solve and making sure that resonates with people. So avoid those 3 horrible traps. I got a quick question, or let me schedule a time with you. The notion of who makes the decision in this area, or this idea of scheduling a demo or a meeting. Instead, think about qualifying based on the problems that you solve. If you can disarm early and have that conversation, you'll capture people's attention early on who you can help, and you won't waste time with the people you can't. And more importantly, you'll preserve your integrity and your reputation. If this is helpful, would love it if you'd like it or share it. Of course, if there are topics you'd like me to address, just drop me a note to ian@ianaltman.com. I'll see you on the next episode of the Same Side Selling Podcast. So long.